And welcome everybody to the glorious episode of the Signal Caller. I'm your host Dwayne Douglas, along with Sol Lopez, the Sol Lopez on X. We'll call it Twitter, just to be fun. And then,
I've never stopped calling it Twitter.
yeah, I never call it Twitter.
I'll never call it X.
I never
That's just
call it
dumb.
X. It sounds stupid. um, and mine is PORSBR. So check me out there. It is July now. It is July, so like it is. So somebody just tweeted out. I guess the first preseason game is July
End of this
31st.
month, Hall of Fame
So
game.
Hall of Fame game. So now there's no more months without football. And my significant other is in such
We're
joy.
back, baby.
She
We're
hates
back.
she hates football. She hates football. My girl hates football. If I see
uh,
it, if I put a game on, she's like, "Why is football on?" But she's a big baseball fan. She loves baseball. Um, all right, so let's talk about really quick. You had a good. We were talking during the week, and you made a good point about the Raiders and like had a Marvel point to it, kind of Marvel twist to it. As Fantastic Four comes out this as Fantastic Four comes out this month.
so basically, what I said was in the Avengers Infinity War, not the end game, but the Infinity War at the end, where spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, Thanos basically makes the snap, and everybody, and half the universe is all taken out and snapped away. But in that situation, the Doctor Strange has the time stone that he gives to Thanos willingly in this situation, and he said, "Look, there's one avenue of success. There's one path to success out of all the multiversal travels I've ever gone through. There's only one path to victory, and it starts here." And I feel like in this situation for the Raiders, they're on every single other pathway to success other than the one pathway that you can start with, which is drafting a quarterback. And we're living through every other multiversal timeline of losing, of finding new ways to draft busts, to draft new architects, to bring in new regimes, to do every single thing in that regard, other than what everybody else does, and the one pathway to success, which is just draft quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Just draft a quarterback in the first round. Just try it. See what happens.
Yeah.
35 years now, they've only drafted two quarterbacks in the first round. Both of them have been gigantic busts. One is arguably the biggest bust in NFL history, Jamarcus Russell. And it's like we're living through all the multiversal ways in which Thanos wins, constantly wins, and everybody else loses because they just won't do the one thing you're supposed to do in order to start that pathway to success. And I feel like that's our path that we are forced to live because they don't just want to sit down and draft a quarterback, which just feels like the one pathway to success, the one way to beat Thanos,
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy because like I said, I am not even like again, and there's a quick Raider point. We're gonna go to the Bengals and preview the Bengals this year. But for me, it's just like, I just it's amazing that, and I think it starts with the owner, because
has to start with the owner.
is that because this whole when you hear people who cover the team say there is no mandate to draft a quarterback. I'm like, bro, like I don't have a problem. I don't I don't even have a problem with them with the Raiders acquiring Geno Smith. They need to get a better quarterback, on the team regardless. That's fine. But the next step is have a guy who's going to sit behind him, and to me, I really hope the rumors weren't true that like this organization was like, oh, we don't want to have a situation like Atlanta did. Well, let's just say Atlanta didn't draft Michael Penix. Like, where the hell would they be right now? Like,
Yeah.
if they didn't,
If they didn't have someone to fall back
yeah,
on with Kirk Cousins.
exactly. And I don't know if he's going to be the next Achilles Smith or the next Boomer Esiason. I have no idea like
Yeah.
what he's going to be. But at least you go into the season with an opportunity to see what he has, and he has weapons around him, and then you take it from there. But yeah, it's crazy talk with the Raiders and quarterback play. But
Look, man, you miss 100% of the shots you don't even take.
yeah,
It's as simple as that. If you don't even try, you're never going to hit on a quarterback. And all we hear, the pushback is, well, we could draft a bust. What have the Raiders been doing for the 20 years? Why are we
Oh,
allowed to bust? Why are we allowed to draft busts at every other position except the most important one?
yes, exactly.
I don't care if you draft quarterback every single year from here on out. Just get one and hit on one because that's the only way they're going to dig themselves out. The Raiders are going to have the same exact problem moving forward next year as they do this year, even if they win 10 games and win a playoff game. The same problem. They don't have a long term answer at quarterback.
And next year, like I said, I don't know what the Raiders record is going to be and everything like that, whatever. But if the if the flurry of quarterbacks, just like a couple years ago, come out again, and they don't spend draft capital on a first round quarterback, man, it's going to be, and because Geno Smith will be in his last year of a deal,
Yeah.
dude, that is the most that you can't get more short sighted than that. You can't get more short sighted than that, cousin. You can't get more
And
short
we're
sighted
already
than
way
that.
beyond that point, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's
We've had
crazy.
8 first round quarterbacks in the last 2 years, 12 in the last 3 years. Raiders haven't drafted a single one.
Gotta take one. Gotta take one. Gotta take one.
Got to do it.
So let's
We're
talk
never
about
going to beat Thanos.
it. At Thanos, where's number 15 jersey
Yeah.
in this conference? So Joe Burrow, the Bengals, on the clock here now for us, and we're kind of we're going to sit here and break this down real quick. I want to say one thing real quick before we start is that this is what Joe Burrow did last year with just the humongous numbers, all touchdown passes, all things like that. That's what people try to act like Derek Carr was like. When they say like, "Hey, look, he had no defense. He had no defense."
No offensive line either.
Caleb Williams, at USC, and Joe Burrow with the Bengals is what it looks like when a quarterback has no defense. They have to score almost 40 points to win it to win each game. So that's what
Yeah.
actually it looks like instead of being the worst red zone quarterback in history. But first of all, let's start with Joe Burrow. Do you understand why there is like real like hatred towards Joe Burrow? Like, why do people really do not? Because we've been in Twitter Spaces a whole lot, and if there's a top quarterback who like people get a lot of like who people bringing the knives out for a lot of times is Joe Burrow. Can you talk about why and why you think that is? Because that's kind of weird.
Because people think that we're unfairly placing him amongst the rest of the quarterbacks because of what he did in the 2 seasons he was healthy there, right? So this is the first season that he's played where he was healthy all year and didn't make the playoffs. So he hasn't won a playoff game since 2022, I think, in that season. So, or 2023, I think was the last one. So I think it's because people put him on the elite list, which I think he's an elite. I think he's the second best quarterback in football, bar none. I just believe in that guy so much. I believe in everything that he does. I've believed in him since day one, basically. Um, and they think that he's put on these lists despite not having the credentials to back it up. But if you really look at it, I think he has just as many playoff wins as Josh Allen in those 2 years. He's been to the Super Bowl. He came from within one possession of winning the Super Bowl. He did it in that year where he was sacked 77 times total, including 9 times in one playoff game against Titans. He just went. So last year, the record for teams that scored 33 points in a game last season was 77-9. The Bengals' record for scoring 33 points last year was 3-4. His quarterback rating, his QBR, is supposed to equate to a 12 or 13 win season based on the ESPN's analytics. They missed the playoffs and only won 9 games. So if you want to look at a situation where statistically they're one of the worst offensive lines in football, statistically they're one of the worst defenses in football, but your quarterback goes out there and throws for 4,900 yards and 43 touchdowns and only 9 picks, it's a situation where you have to put him on a pedestal in that regard. You have to put his quarterback play was so far above anyone else's that he put up MVP numbers by a landslide, but he didn't win because their team didn't make the playoffs. You couldn't justify giving him MVP over Josh Allen. But if they had won 2 more games, he'd be the MVP going away. And we could make the argument he'd probably win 85% of the votes. Had they just won 2 games, their defense held out just a little bit longer. So I think people get mad that people put him on this pedestal. I think they equate it to, or they conflate it to the Justin Herbert stuff, where a lot of people have Justin Herbert on the top 10 list, but he hasn't really won a playoff game or whatnot. But then again, Joe Burrow's won 5 playoff games, and every time he's in the playoffs, they make the AFC Championship game. He's the only person in the NFL right now besides Jalen Hurts that's beaten Patrick Mahomes in a playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else you want. I mean, they beat him in Kansas City in the AFC Championship game, and he went to the Super Bowl based off that. So I put him up there. I think he's the second best quarterback in football. I know he gets a lot of hate, but that guy is one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen. He's the best quarterback in Bengals history by far. He's the most talented player they ever had in their franchise, in my opinion, outside of Anthony Munoz. I just don't think there's anybody anywhere close to his level of ability. And he plays the most important position. So I don't know why they're messing around and not trying to build around him. And I know we'll get to that a little bit later, but I think that's one of the main reasons why a lot of people put him up too high, feel like they put him too high based off what he did in the playoffs a couple of years ago. But judging by what he just did last year, there's not a lot of quarterbacks that are putting up that kind of numbers. In fact, there's none that are putting up those kind of numbers. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically a drop pass away from having 5,000 yards last year. He had 4,918 yards. His yards per attempt was 7.5. He is all this is happening with a 70% completion percentage.
Unbelievable.
43 touchdown passes on 9 INTs.
That is an outrageous. That's a 5-1
TD. 43 touchdowns. Okay. For the haters of Joe Burrow. 43 touchdowns on 9 INTs. Okay. A quarterback rating of 108. Had more first downs than anybody. Had 49 plays over 20 yards, 12 plays over 40 yards. He got sacked the fourth most with 48 sacks last year, but I don't know what I'm not sure what y'all. I'm not sure what y'all want. I don't know what y'all want. As far as that goes, but he is not the issue. But I also heard but he plays with Chase and he plays with T. I'm like, damn. I tell you, if Twitter was back in the day when Joe Montana was playing, they would say, "Oh, Joe Montana is garbage. He plays with Rice. He plays with Taylor. He plays with Roger Craig." Like, I mean, it's what you do when you have those players. I can tell you, if you put Derek Carr there, if you put Jimmy Garoppolo, you put Jameis Winston with those players, they're not having 40. They're gonna have 43 touchdown passes and 9 interceptions. It's not gonna happen.
You can't have the argument both ways. You can't be the quarterback is the most important position and his play elevates the rest of the team, but also then hold it against him when he plays with great players, because quarterbacking is not all the same. I don't know what to tell you, man. Yeah. It's just not. Like, you can't just interchange players. This was the Derek Carr argument. Well, he's never had a number one receiver. Well, you got him a number one receiver, and he was benched 14 games into that, and he was terrible throughout the year. Led the league in turnovers for like 9 straight weeks. So, like, you can't really interchange quarterbacks and be like, well, if you just put this guy in here, it's going to be exactly the same. It's like that's the most difficult position to play maybe in all the sports. There's only really realistically at any given time 14 or 15 really good guys that can play that position in the world. The rest of them become interchangeable and new guys come in. Like, we're looking at a situation where there's 4 or 5 guys on massive contracts that their teams are likely going to be looking at new quarterbacks here in the next couple of years if they don't become successful. You're looking at a Trevor Lawrence that's on the hot list. You're looking at a Tua Tagovailoa on the hot seat. Brock Purdy possibly on the hot seat. Like, you're looking at guys that are on these gigantic, massive deals that their teams might be looking for different players here in the next couple of years if they don't succeed. So you can't have it both ways. You can't punish a guy for playing with good players because he produces with those players, and then hold it against him because he plays with those guys and be like, well, he's not that great because of X, Y, and Z. I can promise you, I think that the Ravens would have a Super Bowl by now if they had Joe Burrow in there instead of Lamar Jackson, just because I think he's a much, much better quarterback. I think he's a much better decision maker, and he doesn't really fold under pressure. He's just not the type of guy that collapses under the weight of the pressure. And it's like we've just seen over and over again how good he is given the circumstances of the Bengals with a bad defense and a bad offensive line. It's just, I mean, he's that good. And they re-signed basically everybody on that offense. And now they're having trouble with the defense situation because, they're trying to some tricky work with, their rookie guy, but still like they re-signed everybody and that offense is going to be explosive once again if Joe Burrow plays all 17 games. So I don't know what to tell you. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is. So it's just people have hate towards a player, and they just like, and then they don't back it up with factual stuff. Like, I mean, I don't like
Yeah.
certain players, but like, I'm not gonna sit there and tell you that, like, oh, I don't like Mahomes, but like, I'm not gonna sit there and try to tell you he sucks. I'm not gonna do
Yeah.
that. Um, the defensive side of the ball, they've struggled last year on the defensive side of the ball. So what do? They piss off their best defensive player in Trey Hendrickson. When you look at his defense and you look at like what they had last year, it is amazing that he still had that many sacks. It shows you what kind
Yeah.
of dominant. That's what a dominant play looks like on a defensive line. Like for him to still be able to get all those sacks, where he really didn't have another top guy with him.
Yeah.
Kudos to him. And then they draft a guy. They say, hey, you know what? We need to get, we need to get some more, be more active on the defensive line. Let's go to the college ranks and draft Shamar Stewart, and then we're just not going to sign him and try to put language in the contract to piss him off too. So this is like, if the Bengals just, I mean, this is just a mess because it's just like it's disgusting in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Like the window you have, I mean, my lord, like if I ran a team and had a quarterback like Joe Burrow, I would do everything in that window to make shit happen. If you can't, I mean, if you can't pay Trey Henderson, it's cool. Trade him and then try to get assets
Get
for
him
the
out of there. Find
get him
someone
out of
else.
here. Find a bunch of younger pieces in the draft. And why are we still talking about Trey Henderson in July? And they're going through all this hell with him. And then Shamar Stewart is like, I'm not going to be the example for the league. No, bro. You're going
Yeah, I'm not going to be your guinea pig with this
yeah.
language in this contract.
Thoughts
I'm not
about
going to
him.
allow you to void my deal later on.
Thoughts
For those
about
that don't
the
know,
yeah.
the Bengals are trying to add language into the contract for their first round pick, Shamar Stewart, the defensive end. That would allow them to void his rookie deal if something goes wrong. There's provisions in the contract that would allow them to void the guarantees in his deal and then cut him. So this is bust proof. So they've not only have they already given the rookie cap, which is supposed to protect against busts. That was their provision from the CBA. So they don't have to play Sam Bradford $70 million anymore, or pay, Jamarcus Russell $63 million anymore right out the gate, and make these guys the highest paid players at their position right away. They don't have to do that anymore. That was the rookie cap. Now the Bengals are trying to go even further and add provisions into these contracts that protect the organization from the player being a bust or having off the field issues where they can void his deal. And he's the first player that anybody's tried this with. And he's holding out and saying, no, I'm not going to be the guy. And I'm sure the NFL Players Association is it's strongly advising him not to sign that deal because it just does nothing but helps out the owners. Because then it sets precedent for them to be able to do this to every rookie moving forward. And he's not going to be a part of it. So kudos to him. Shame on the organization, the Bengals, when you have an offense and a generational talent at quarterback at the game's most important position, and you're screwing around on defense, not paying your best player on defense. Aside from, remember, letting Jesse Bates walk in free agency a couple years ago, letting your players walk. Jermaine Pratt is now a Raider, like he was one of their better players on defense, like cannibalizing your own defense in order to, I don't know what, save a few bucks or put in provisional language that outcasts this first round pick. It's just, I don't know, man. It feels very weird. Like what else do you want as an owner of the NFL team? What are you saving a few bucks for? What, I don't understand. Like this is all you do. If this is all you do, you're bringing in enough revenue to be like that. If you want to be a cheapskate about it, then get rid of all the players. Trade Joe Burrow to someone who will take care of him. You don't think Pittsburgh would take Joe Burrow in a heartbeat and give you a piece of the organization to do it? You don't think they would build around him? They built around Aaron Rodgers better than the Joe Burrow's been built around. Don't give me that. Well, they drafted Jamar Chase. Yeah, that's a no brainer. That's literally a no brainer.
Yeah,
It's crazy, man.
it's crazy because this is
Wild. I
but
can't understand it.
for them to be like a fringe playoff team, like, because they basically are a fringe playoff team when you look at it. They're still in a position where,
Only because of Joe Burrow's play. Only.
yes, exactly, and it really makes no sense. I don't understand why they're in this position, but like
Yeah.
it doesn't they don't have the pieces here on defense to get that next level. So they bring in Al Golden. Al Golden is the defensive coordinator for the Bengals this year, first year with the Bengals. He came from Notre Dame. Notre Dame made a play really good defense. And they made always a championship game. So we'll see how that goes. Right now, I think he probably thought he was going to walk into the situation with Shamir, walk in this situation with I'm not sure. I'm not sure if
Trey.
they with Trey Hendrickson. I'm not sure if they're gonna. I know they drafted Demetrius Knight. I'm not sure if they signed him yet. Um, so we'll see that. Let's look at their draft real quick. So at 17 they took Shamir. They took Demetrius Knight, linebacker. Maybe that's the Jermaine Pratt
Replacement.
replacement.
They also signed Oren Burks out of the free agency too. So
Yeah.
they got another guy, another linebacker.
Yep, they went offensive line with Dylan Fairchild and Jalen Rivers, running back Taj Brooks out of Texas Tech. So we'll see if he can add some more juice to it, and they add another linebacker in Barrett and Barrett Carter. So I don't like I said they are trying to address the things that the side of the ball they need to.
Yeah.
But again, offensive line is fine. Perfect doing that. Also doing the whole thing with drafting multiple defensive players. But they got like if I'm Stewart, I'm not doing it. Like I'm just not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm
Under
not.
any
Yeah,
circumstances.
he cannot fold and do this. And do this. It's you don't want to have like you have one and done. Like who's to say? Who's to say that like this is a situation where he gets he gets cut and then and then everybody else does like one and done contracts in the first round. Like that's
Yeah.
a first round pick. Like no,
Everybody just follows suit on
you
that.
you already if you follow Pablo, Pablo knows all. Is that Paulo Torres' podcast? I forgot his name. I forgot
I
his name.
think so. I'm not sure. I'm not sure
I'm
exactly
not
what it's
sure.
called.
I was gonna call, but he talked about like the memo that he was able to uncover. He's uncovering some big stories on that podcast. But he talked about
Pablo
how
Torre finds out.
Paul Torre finds out, and he's talking about how the league has 100%
Colluded.
colluded to get this to get guaranteed contracts out. So
Yeah.
it is. So you cannot. The language is fine in the NFL. Like if you're then to me, don't draft in the first round. Trade that pick and trade that pick
Yeah.
and
If you don't want it, someone will take it.
yeah, so somebody will take it. So let's see your thoughts about their place in the division because obviously Pittsburgh's there. They're there. It just seems like do we like Zach Taylor? Is he working with a full deck here? Like, what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's just a really difficult situation because it seems like when he has what he needs, they make a run.
I think the defensive line would be very good if none of this other stuff was going on. If you add, because they signed BJ Hill, defensive tackle in free agency as well. I like that move a lot. That's a sneaky good move for them. You put BJ Hill there with Trey Hendrickson, who's one of the 5 or 6 best pass rushers in the NFL. And then you add the young, stalwart type of defensive end, that first round pick. Like I think they're going to be. I think their front four can be potentially really devastating. But this whole team is going to run through Joe Burrow once again. It's going to run through the offense once again. Chase Brown is a fantastic player. I thought that a fifth round draft pick at one point, like he's terrific for them. He clearly took that job over like 5 6 weeks in from Zach Moss, who they signed in there. Chase Brown is going to be their guy moving forward on a rookie deal, which is great to have for a running back like him. Mike Gesicki is another re-signed player that they got. The whole offense is going to be, I think, special again.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of Al Golden and what they do with the pass rush that's going to allow everything else in that defense to flourish. But you can't have your pass rushers in limbo in July. Like we're getting ready. Like it's go time. Like training camp is this month. Like it's ready. Like pads are coming on. Games are next month. Like it's time to go. Like Shamar Stewart's missing really valuable time under a new defensive coordinator. Trey Hendrickson is missing valuable time under a new defensive coordinator. So it's just I don't understand it. I don't know. I understand why these teams play hardball. Your only asset are your players. So what else are you going to do with any of this other money? It's ridiculous.
You're also, by not having a good defensive unit, or just a
sacrificing cohesion.
Sorry, but like you're putting your quarterback at risk even more so.
Yeah.
Because instead of him just handing the ball off to Zach Moss, handing the ball off to Chase Brown in the fourth quarter, he's having to having to drop back and pass again and again and again and again.
Drop back to try to recover this lead.
And as much as we love watching him throw the football, let's be real. Like he's gonna get. I mean, he can get hurt. He can get hurt on those dropbacks because every time you drop back, you're exposing your quarterback to a hit. So I mean, and
with a bad offensive line, mind you,
with a bad offensive line. So I mean, so that's something where I would say, like, you really have to look at this situation, and like, they have to find a way to they need games where they can run the clock out a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean, they do, and I personally don't see it. I don't see it. I think they're still in position here where, if they just have everybody in camp, like I guess we'll have to really kind of see truly when we get to like August, and like we're at the third preseason game. Like if we're at the third preseason game and Hendricks isn't in, and Stewart's not in, I'm gonna be like, bro, like what are we doing?
Let's trade the kid. Catastrophic mess. If that's the case, what happens?
I mean, they should be calling Pittsburgh and being like, yo, you like trade us Watt.
Yeah,
like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
anybody? DJ,
like, you know what I'm saying? Like that, they should be loading up. Not playing this game with what they're doing as far as their football team goes. I mean, they are a weird bunch out here. I just want to check who's calling that offensive line stuff. Who's their offensive line coach? Scott Peters is the offensive line coach. But for them, it's like, I mean, and you also have a bunch of deep drops as well. So he is from Arizona State. And then he also coached with the Patriots as well. So the Patriots do have Dante Scarnecchia, people like that. So hopefully they can get better.
I like Fairchild. I think that's a quality addition to the offensive line.
Yeah,
I think he's a good player.
And then I mean, and then we got to see how they do in this division, because let's be honest, like there is no shortage of pass rushers, and there is no shortage of defensive tackles who can get in Joe Burrow's face. So that's what it is. As far
as
it's
a hard division, man.
It is. I mean, but they should. I mean, but this is the thing. Do they get three teams out of the AFC West or the North?
Yeah.
Because last year was the West. So who's gonna be on the outside looking in? Last year, it was the Bengals. We'll see if they can able to kind of come back and get into the playoffs, because he's an exciting player to watch in the playoffs. No question about it. Anything else on the Cincinnati Bengals?
I just want to say, I think their offense is Super Bowl caliber. I think they have one of the best offenses in football. I think that Joe Burrow can carry you a long, long, long way. And I just don't understand an organization unwilling to do literally everything they could possibly do to get their first Super Bowl win. This guy is capable of winning a Super Bowl. You've already seen it. Like what happened on that last play in the Super Bowl? Aaron Donald broke through rather easily. They had Jamar Chase streaking down or Higgins streaking down past Ramsey, one of the two. And if Burrow was able to launch that ball, it might have been over.
That honestly, and like I don't wish. I mean, listen, I know dog in the fight, Rams and Bengals, but that would have been a play that Jalen Ramsey would have been the worst. Like he'd have been the worst GOAT in his Super Bowl history.
Yeah.
To fall down in that moment when you should be playing over the top in that moment, like you should. There was no reason for him to be stride for stride. Like you make sure like in that moment you're just off coverage and you're just running backwards because
40 yards.
Yeah, 40 yards off of him. Like he would have been the biggest GOAT in Super Bowl history as far as that goes. That's crazy. Some other stuff in the National Football League, since we're kind of wrapping up with the Bengals, is this Darren Waller is. But I don't understand the Darren Waller. Welcome back, Darren Waller. I don't have any hate for Darren Waller. I don't know what the big deal is about Darren Waller.
I don't know why people do. This is a shitstorm. I don't understand it.
It's crazy. So number one, like when somebody's trying to do honest work and they're dealing with being an addict. For an addict and trying to overcome that, like if you noticed, people who do that, who have that in their lives, you see with Max Crosby, they're constantly busy doing things. Like Max Crosby with the underwear brand, Max Crosby with the podcast, Max Crosby with the UFC stuff. Like he's always keeps keeping busy, and that's part of it. And I think for Waller it's the same thing with his music, whatever. So if you don't like the music, it's okay, it's all right, it's not a big deal. Like it's subjective, it's subjective, but. He has. I mean, he hasn't done anything for me to be like, okay, he doesn't deserve to work or be or be in the league. The Steelers did make a deal with the Dolphins. Jonnu Smith goes to the John Smith and Jalen Ramsey go to the Steelers. Mika Fitzpatrick goes back to Miami. I did not realize that reading up on it. Like Mika Fitzpatrick was very unliked in Pittsburgh. And that people were, I mean, I guess people were making comments like, well, 10 people are going in the right direction except for one. Like the comments like that from Casey Hayward.
I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah, but it's that bad. So he's gone now. Thoughts about the Waller thing real quick, and then this the trade with the Dolphins and the Steelers.
I wish Waller all the best. I hope he has a good year this year. I hope he comes back and shows just what he's capable of. I mean, if you really think about it, he really didn't start being really good until he's like 27. That's when he really started playing football.
The one Gruden move that worked. One of the few. One of
the very few that worked out for John Gruden. But I wish him all the best. I mean, he's going to have a lot of opportunities to catch the ball there in Miami. They got a lot of weapons over there. That are going to be able to catch the ball in Chan, Waddle, and Tyreek Hill. So it's set up for him to be successful. There's no other tight end. There's no other starting caliber tight end on that roster. But I wish him all the best, man. I loved him with the Raiders. I love Darren Waller with the Raiders. I think that the problem was he no longer became a favor of that team, and I think that it affected his mental health. You're the shiny beacon of the great story of the NFL for 2 years, and then all of a sudden you're not. And maybe that affected his mental health. Getting traded to the Giants where they're playing him at fullback and all that shit, like that's not his skill set. He's an outline tight end and a spacer and a guy who gets the ball in his hands, and that's what you pay him to do. Man. That's what he did with the Raiders. That's what you pay him to do. So I think he's taking too much shit for what.
He's a faster version. He's a faster version of Gesicki. Gesicki is a pass catching tight end. So was Darren Waller. The same thing. But the 2 years he had with the Raiders, when he had 1 year and 19, when he had 90 catches, and then the year after that he has 106. He had 107. nine touchdowns and 12 touchdowns in those two seasons combined. So I mean, Waller was we'll see what happens with Waller. But thoughts about the Steelers. Steelers look like so they're going all in right now.
Yeah, I said it when we covered the Steelers on our thing. I think this is Mike Tomlin's last year. I think they're putting all the eggs in this one basket. Aaron Rodgers is going to retire at the end of the season. TJ Watt might be gone next offseason. Cam Hayward might be retired next offseason. I don't think Mike Tomlin's going to be a part of the Pittsburgh rebuild. I think this is we're going all in for this year. We're going to go as far as we possibly can. We're going to win a playoff game like we haven't done since 2016. Like we're going to do all this year and maybe win a Super Bowl if we can do it. But after this year, they haven't really committed. They have no real commitments on their players. Like Jalen Ramsey gets a raise, but that's really like a 1 year deal. Johnny Smith is not going to get, a 4 year deal with Pittsburgh. Like these are 1 year deals. Like DK Metcalf is going to be one of the foundational cornerstones, but I think they had to make that contract extension because they weren't going to pay George Pickens that money. And they felt like DK was more rational, maybe more grounded to be able to do that. So I think it's Mike Tomlin's last year. I get what they're doing, but you still only have Aaron Rodgers as quarterback, and that's a volatile player to have. Not just volatile in terms of his personality and the things that the circus that he brings to town, but also his plays just wasn't that great last year. And it hasn't been great. Hasn't been overtly great in a few years now. Like, and it's not like you're just going to magically show up and be like, now I'm going to be at an all pro level again. He's just not that guy. And he's not the runner he once was. He's not the guy in the pocket he once was. Like, he's clearly not comfortable taking hits anymore. He's clearly not comfortable like being that guy. So I don't know, man. If the running game fails and Caleb Johnson and Jalen Warren can't get anything and can't produce, I don't see how that offense it's going to be good enough to supplement the defense, longer than half a season. So I think it's a problem, but like I said, I think Mike Tomlin this is last year. I just all these moves just feels like a 1 year thing, and I think we're going to be looking at a whole new regime. Even though they extended the general manager, I don't think Tomlin is going to be here for this rebuild.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that they did give a Omar Khan, the general manager, a new
Yeah,
lease on life. Give him like three more years on that
that's your
time on
rebuild
that
right
on
there.
that
I think, in my
contract.
opinion.
So let's see possibly next week. Let's see if we can double up. So let's see if we can double up. So I'm looking at the Eagles next week
Yeah,
because they're kind of going to be easy to do.
yeah.
They're kind of be easy to do. And then
Not a whole lot of negativity surrounding that team
yeah,
right now.
exactly. And then we'll say that division and we'll do the Giants. So we'll do the Giants and Eagles next
Ooh,
week.
talk
So
about
that's
opposite ends of the spectrum, huh?
yeah, hey, the yin and the yang, if you will. As far
Are
as
we going
that
to go through,
goes.
because our show is called The Signal Caller, are we going to go Tommy DeVito, Jackson Dart, Russell Wilson, and Jameis Winston? We're going to go all of them?
Oh man, I might have to. I might have to. We will. I did promise that we'll look at quarterbacks. We will look at Lawrence Sellers
Yes. South
from
Carolina?
South Carolina, and just I mean, if you play college football, to 26 on PlayStation or Xbox, I heard that he is basically Michael Vick in this game.
Mm.
Which is like going to be pretty good. Well, some of us
Madden 2004, Michael
yeah,
Vick.
2004 Michael Vick, the famous 2004 Michael Vick, where
Yeah.
where it was crazy to play him with play the Falcons in that situation. All right, see you next time, folks. Thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.